Welcome to Lauren's Crazy Pet Show, everybody. We start off today at a beautiful spot in northwestern Connecticut, People's State Forest. It is fantastic. We encourage you to come here. And what a perfect spot to talk about the reemergence of black bears right here in Connecticut, and that is a good thing.
Hi, my name's Ginny. I'm a Master Wildlife Conservationist with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. And I go around the state and try to teach everybody about our wildlife and educate you on our black bears, our bobcat, our beavers, all the wildlife in the state, and try to tell you how we all can coexist. I think it's wonderful and magnificent that we have black bears in our state. We have probably almost 1,000 now. In lower Fairfield County, you probably have wandering male bears coming through trying to find territory. You have no established females with cubs yet. Might happen, but we don't know. They don't like all that traffic, so on 95.
They want the trees out here. It's absolutely
Right.
beautiful. So most of the bears are in the northwest corner of Connecticut. Is that true, Jenny?
The large portion of our bears are, although they're now starting to move eastward over the Connecticut River, but the largest population, quite more than half, are over here still. So black bears have come back since Connecticut. When the colonists came, we were 90% forested. Then they cut down all the trees, and we lost a lot of species. They were killing animals like the wolves and the mountain lions because they felt they were threats. So now, once farming moved out west, a lot of those farms went back to forests. So now Connecticut is about 65% forested, and New England as a region has more trees than any other region in the United States per capita, meaning per size. Obviously, the Pacific Northwest has more trees, but not by the ratio. So
they like the trees.
They like the trees.
and we're talking about black bears because there's a distinction. There's the black bear,
Right.
and there's the grizzly bear, who's usually brown.
Right, and people generally merge the behaviors of these two bears. Black bears tend to be demonized in Connecticut and other places. They are a large animal. They can be anywhere from up to 600 or more pounds. Bears have to eat 20 to 30,000 calories every day in the autumn to get ready for hibernation.
Wow.
That's equivalent to 35 Big Macs a day, per day.
Delicious.
So, yeah.
So they really
anyway,
have to bulk
we
up.
ask people, if you have bears, to coexist with them, to not put out birdseed from late March until mid-November, because that attracts bears. They love birdseed. It's easy feed, and it habituates them, and they'll stay in your area, and then the next thing you know, they've knocked down a railing on your deck, or they smell you cooking a pie and they tear your screen, and they get in trouble not because they're ferocious animals, but because we have habituated them. Out here, we have problems when people put their garbage out on Saturday for a Tuesday pickup. Not a good idea. Keep it in your garage. Keep your garages closed if you have seed or even dog food. A bear smells 200 times what a human does and 7 times that of a bloodhound.
Wow.
So a bear, literally, if you fed your dog on your deck and left that dish out there, a bear can smell that from over a mile away. Bears are omnivores, which means they eat mostly plants. So if you look at their teeth, they have really big front teeth, but these are just like chewing teeth in the back, not for tearing like on like a coyote or a carnivore. Their teeth are pretty long.
Wow.
So this is their front tooth, so you can see that's pretty darn big. Bears generally don't want anything to do with humans. More bears are being seen in the woods right now because there's more people out in the woods than normal. But generally speaking, I've climbed all the mountains over 4,000 feet in New England and the Adirondacks, and in all that time since the early 70s, I've seen 4 bears in the woods, 1 bobcat, and 1 lynx. So they try to, if they hear you, they try to stay away. Generally speaking, if you're coming along and you see a black bear, you should just stop, talk to it, like say, hey bear, and just start talking and talking. And the bear will look at you. When they stand up on their hind feet, they're not threatening, they're curious. So that's not a threat. Now, whereas the grizzly, when they stand up on their hind feet, they're attacking, they're carnivores. A black bear, people say, don't get between a sow and her cubs. Not true. Whenever she perceives danger, those cubs are up a tree in a second. And then she'll just hang around in the area until her perceived danger is gone, even if that means half a day. And if she's really afraid, she'll go up the tree underneath them and they'll all take a nap. Anyway, so we have a few things that if a bear comes along, I have what I call my bear scare can. And this is coins. And actually, bears hate this more than air horns, which a lot of people tell you, my bear scare horn. So, you know, if you're nervous about them and you don't want them in your yard, you can, you know, rattle that. But I really like to watch them. It's really marvelous. If you're in your yard, you see a bear, just slowly back away and go in the house and watch it out the window. I mean, they're magnificent creatures, and we're really, really lucky to have them here.
Where can people contact you, Ginny?
They can contact the DEP, so just Google CT DEEP and go to their wildlife section, and that'll give you everything you want to know.
And hopefully you'll have some upcoming events.
Yeah, I
once
have a
all
lot of
this-
talks. I'm going to have a lot of Zoom talks coming up, so you could just Google that. I think I'm going to have black bear, bobcat, beaver, and bald eagle coming up.
Fantastic.
So, and you can sign up and
Fantastic.
see it. So.
Oh, aren't they beautiful? Can you believe we have these black bears right here in Connecticut? Well, when we come back, we're not talking bears, we're gonna talk bees. And we're gonna go in depth on how you too can have a great relationship with these wonderful, furry, six-legged friends. Stay tuned, Lauren's Crazy Pet Show is coming right back. Welcome back to Lauren's Crazy Pet Show. You know, we recently did a segment with Marina at Red Bee. She has turned her passion for beekeeping into a booming business. We got such great response from that story. And then we find out that one of our wonderful viewers, Andrea, who used to come on our Pet Talk show all the time, has started to do her own beekeeping with her boyfriend, John. And look, she invited us to her home, and they are going to give us the nitty-gritty of what goes into beekeeping.
Hi everybody, so great to be here again with you guys. I love you, Lauren. Yep, I was on Pet Talk many times with my Chinese cresteds. First Chico, my little Cheeky. We were on as the Cowboy Christmas and a Biker Christmas, and then the Halloween show. He was my Cowardly Lion and I was Dorothy. And Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, and then I came on after he passed away. Unfortunately, I came on with my little Mimi, and we just always had a great time on your show. We love being on your show.
Oh, and we loved having you. You always made it so much fun, and you made the costumes, and it was just such a great time. And now here we are, and you are actually making honey with your bees. You've taken up this passion of beekeeping.
Yes, beekeeping. It's really came out of we wanted to try it. We have all kinds of pollinating flowers in our garden. We have 2 hives here in Wilton, and then we have 8 hives in New Milford. And it's really incredible what bees do, and our species would cease to exist without them.
And
So-
I'm really surprised at the work, all the work that goes into it. I don't know why, but I thought, well, this kind of looks easy, but I see you and John are really working from the beginning to the end. So take us through that.
If you've had hives that survived the winter, March you open them up, you see what's going on, you check them all out. Ideally, every week you go into every hive and you pull out the frames to make sure that the bees are doing what they need to do, to make sure that there's baby bees being born, that there's honey, that the honeycomb looks healthy, that there's all kinds of mites that you can get. Who knew that there's like bee mites? So you go in there every week ideally, and you check your hives to make sure they're doing what they need to do.
I've noticed, though, that you have 2 different types of hives.
Right. The standard hive is a box on top of a box on top of a box. That's the Langstroth hive. Traditionally, they're wooden boxes, and inside those boxes are plastic frames, and that's what the bees build honeycomb on and load up with honey, and that's where the baby bees are born. And then the other hive that we have is, they call it a top bar hive, also known as a Kenyan hive. It originated in Kenya, and it's just you put a bar across the top. I think there's 15 bars, maybe 20 bars. You rub a little beeswax on it, and then the bees start to build honeycomb off of that, and it builds into sort of a V. Almost looks like a heart, really. The queen lays eggs in there, and then the honey goes in there as well.
Now, what about the spinner? That I guess that's where you put the combs in?
Yep, the frames, yep. So the bees are busy doing their thing for about a month or 2. They go out into the world, they collect pollen, they bring it back, they're making honey in the frames. And then about now, June, July, you take out the frames. And this year we got our own honey extractor, that's the term. Before you do that, you have to uncap the frames, because the bees are so amazing. They make the honey in the frame, and then they cap it with a wax to protect it. So when we go to spin the honey, you have to uncap that. You have a little tool that you scrape off the top, and then you put each frame, 2 frames in, and you spin the extractor really fast. Very manual, the way America was back in the 1800s. We've gone back in time. and then you take the frame out and turn it around and then do the other side. So you get the honey, because honey is on both sides of the frame. So you spin it really, really fast, and the honey is extracted from those frames into the bottom of the honey extractor barrel, so to speak. And then at the bottom, there's a spigot, and you open that. The honey is poured into a bowl. We pour it through a strainer because it has, in addition to having the honey, it also has what's called propolis, and a little bit of wax too, and you don't want that in your honey. So we strain it, and then we pour it into mason jars and the little honey bears. And what we'll do with that other material, the pollen, the propolis, that will go back on frames, and then we'll put those back in beehive, and they'll start to build on that again, and we'll have more honey.
And that was only 4 frames today.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. We got, I think we got 4 full quarts of honey from 4 frames. We have 8 beehives in New Milford, and in each box there's 9 or 10 frames, and all of those have honey on both sides, so we're gonna need a lot of jars. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's the season?
You can have 2 or 3 main honey harvests. We did one now, we're gonna keep doing it because all the hives are full of honey. So you'll harvest all that honey, and then you put the frames back in, and then later in the August, September, October, you'll do another harvest of the honey. And then the honey will be darker. The honey at the beginning of the season is lighter in color because of the flowers that are different colors. And then in the fall, the honey is darker in color, which is really amazing to see. And then after that point, you pretty much prepare the hives for the winter. You insulate them, you wrap them in, we wrap them in like tar paper actually. Newspaper, tar paper, because you want to keep the hive warm. You want to make sure no moisture gets in. If moisture gets in and it freezes, your bees are going to die. You leave them, I think 25 to 30 pounds of honey per hive for the winter, and also sugar water. And then you hope and pray to the honey bee gods that come March, when you open them, your bees are alive and you start all over again. So this is only our 2nd year doing it. We were lucky that some people say the first year you don't even get honey. We got honey last year, and we had bees survive the winter, so we were pretty lucky.
And look at this. You get to go home with fresh honey. Absolutely delicious. It's just one of the many bottles of fresh honey that they harvested today. Fantastic. And when we come back, we have a follow-up story about a wonderful organization that is actually helping heroes find homes. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. Lauren's Crazy Pet Show is coming right back. Welcome back to Lauren's Crazy Pet Show. You know, we recently brought you a story about an incredible organization, the United States War Dogs Association. Now, they not only work to honor our 4-legged veterans who have passed away, they support military working dogs on active duty and provide for their health care and other needs when they retire. But most importantly, they work to find forever homes for all those brave hero dogs who need it. Now, let's meet one of the founders of the United States War Dogs Association, who is an adopter himself.
Hi, my name is Bob Thompson, and I'm one of the founding members of United States War Dogs Association. This is my adopted dog, Leica. She served as a bomb detection dog in Kuwait. She was born in the Netherlands. In Kuwait, she would search tanker trucks at a port. So she developed kind of a phobia among many of the sound of truck air brakes. So that when she hears the truck air brakes, she will, you don't know if she's happy, you don't know if she's mad. She grabs her toy and she starts running in circles around the backyard when the garbage truck comes.
She's so beautiful. Her adoption is really the result of one of your programs.
Yes, she was adopted 5 years ago on April Fool's Day. My brother and I drove down to Texas, down to Mission Canine, and I got to pick her out of about 8 dogs. I just knew right away. I went up to her, and she was nice. She just had the right time and that beautiful face, right? She's been with me ever since. She'll turn 13 in 5 days. I was a dog handler in Vietnam, a scout dog handler. In 1971, I was with the 43rd Scout Dogs up along the DMZ. We would go on missions where my dog Kazan, would walk point. I would walk behind her maybe 15 yards and wait for her to give alerts, like if she smelled a food cache or personnel. Anything out of the ordinary, the dog is going to throw their nose up in the air and go to sit. You would check the wind and you would make a determination, well, she's picking something up maybe at 2 o'clock, 30 meters out. You tell that to your lieutenant. That's the way you tried to keep everybody safe. I always felt that my job was keeping everybody safe. And everybody behind me had 5 people back in the States who it meant everything to them that this GI gets home. If you have 15 guys behind you times 5, you feel like you have 75 people that you're walking point for. I go back not that long ago, about 20 years ago, I didn't know that the dogs were left behind in Vietnam. I had no idea. I was always told that the dogs are going home to the States, to Lackland Air Force Base in Texas, where they're going to be retrained for different occupations. So I lived with the idea for 30 years that the dogs all went to Lackland. See, when they said the memorial was going to, or the dog handlers wanted to have a memorial sculpture at the War Dog Memorial in Homedale, I said, well, how can I not be involved in this? I have to do this for my dog. For Kazan. That's how I got involved. We had to stick together for 7 years or more to get the memorial done, so you're kind of committed and made an emotional commitment to it. When it was done, it was quite an accomplishment. And the most beautiful thing about it was the day before the dedication up at Homedale, they were going to install it. So the people from Lancaster who had the monument, they came up on a flatbed truck with the monument and all this stuff. And who was there was the sculpture and the 4 of us who had, Ron, Bucky, Bobby Cicero, the 4, and myself. There were 4 of us finally there, and so there was 5 people. And it was such a beautiful thing. I think it was on a Thursday night, and then on Saturday was the dedication. And it was just a beautiful June day, and it was like, oh, it's over, we did it. And Ron wanted to keep it going because he had been sending packages overseas.
Well, I know you have people that donate, and again, you had some people here that brought care packages.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You have a lot of people that want to get involved. You don't necessarily have to be in the military to get involved with the organization.
Not at all.
Can anybody get involved in that program, Bob? Do you have to be a retired military?
No, I think anybody can fill out an application to adopt a retired military working dog. I know there's a list. I'm not sure how extensive it is at this time, but there's usually a wait. But if you have the heart for it and the space to raise them and the patience and all that goes with it, because they got some baggage when they come back. It's a great organization. We watch our pennies and we try to make things work and do what's best for the handlers and the dogs.
Well, thank goodness you guys are here. Thank you for everything you do. When we return, we'll catch up with another fabulous organization who are getting back in the saddle, well, really back onto their Harleys, to continue their wonderful work helping animals in need. Stay tuned. Lauren's Crazy Pet Show is riding right back. Welcome back to Lauren's Crazy Pet Show. One of the silver linings of this whole COVID craziness is that many more animals were being adopted out of animal shelters. But on the flip side of that, many animal support groups have not been able to hold their fundraisers. But today, for the first time since COVID, Bikers Against Animal Cruelty is holding their first fundraiser, and here we are. We've been invited.
Good afternoon. My name is Rosalie DeCrosta, and I'm with Bikers Against Animal Cruelty. As some of you may know, we help animals that have been neglected and abused by helping pay their medical bills for urgent medical care. It's been a really rough few months and our funding is very low. So we're having our first event since January at the beautiful Winstead Feed and Supply. We have a bake sale with some of the most talented bakers in the area, donating their delicious pies and cakes and cookies. We have raffle prizes that are worth up to $250 that you can take a chance on for just $1 on a raffle ticket.
Now, I want people to understand all the wonderful things that you do as a group. We did a wonderful Christmas show on you.
Yes.
We had terrific response. And even I was surprised to learn about everything that you help with.
Thank you for asking. We not only pay to help animals that need urgent medical care because they're ownerless and there's no one to help them, but we do facilitate in rehoming them. We will go to court whenever there's an animal abuse case and we take a stand. We want them to be tried under Desmond's law, so there will be a 6-month jail sentence attached to killing or abusing an animal. We'll go and we'll sit in court and we will present a united front. And the judge needs to know that you can't just get a slap on the hand for this. You have to have some type of consequence handed down to you. And it's happening. The tides are turning. People are becoming more aware and they're becoming more compassionate. We help every single animal control facility in Connecticut with food, blankets, whatever they need. We could help with home inspections. And anytime an animal is in need of help, we're right there helping them any way we can.
Now, during COVID, it's been very difficult. You have not been able to hold fundraisers,
No.
and people need to understand that's really the meat of what helps you continue your work.
Our funding has really gone down, and the abuse cases and people letting their animals go has really risen. So we're really counting on this function being one of our better functions this year. The animals need us. It's just it's inhuman to see an animal suffer and not try to help it. We haven't done anything the past few months because we couldn't, but now we're getting back on track and we're helping as many as we could.
What I do is when we find out about a case, if somebody comes to us, a rescue or a shelter comes to us with an animal that they feel needs medical help, expenses that they can't cover, as long as that animal is a victim of cruelty and neglect and an unowned animal, we will help pay the vet bills. We do pay the vet bills directly. So they will submit to us some pictures, a biography of the animal, what happened and what the medical needs are, and then they submit the invoice from the veterinarian, and we will pay as much as we can towards that invoice to help them get the animal rehabilitated and be able to be readopted.
Now, if somebody wants to get involved in the group, what do they do?
Just contact us online. It's bikersagainstanimalcruelty.org. We also have a Facebook presence, and somebody will answer you back. We would love to speak with you. Even if it's just to donate for 1 time or 2 times, don't have to be a member. Just come and join us and see what we're all about. We'd love to have you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Please keep in touch. You can reach us easily at Lauren'sCrazyPetShow@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. This has been Lauren's Crazy Pet Show.